Have you ever wanted to create your own handicapping dream team? You can now build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Even more exciting, until Sunday, January 16th at midnight, you can save 15% off your Pick Your Team using coupon code PYT15 when checking out. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, and Ralph Michaels, John Ryan, Joseph D'Amico, and Rocketman. The combinations are endless, and you can choose up to 5 handicappers. You start saving once you choose any 2 handicappers of your choice, and you can pay as little as under $6 per handicapper. Who will make your dream lineup? Just go to WagerTalk or Sports Memo, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand select your handicapping roster. Don't forget, coupon code PYT15 will expire January 16th, so make sure to get your 15% discount.
Good morning, guys. Welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew McInnis. You are watching Puck Time. I also have Carmine Bianco with me. We are breaking down 3 NHL hockey games. We have 2 promo codes for you and some best bets at the end. Some really, really good NHL games on the weekend, especially that jam-packed NHL slate featuring some great, great games, especially one comeback. I'll talk about the Colorado Avalanche and Toronto Maple Leafs. You know I had to bring that one up, Carmine. But just an unbelievable weekend of NHL action, some really, really great games, and looking forward to continuing rolling here in the NHL with today's games. I've talked about it before, Carmen. I'll say it again. Sometimes on these smaller slates, there's more opportunity to find some value, and we can dive deeper into the research and hopefully find some winners today on the board. How was your weekend, man?
Hey guys, happy Monday. Weekend was good, Andrew. Only 3 NHL plays the whole weekend, all on Saturday, and I swept those games, so I was pretty happy about that. Sunday was a good winning day as well, too. Undefeated in soccer, 3 wins and a couple pushes on a 5-game card, and split out on NFL. But overall, every day was a winning one, so I'm pretty happy about that. The 6 and 60, one game got canceled, the Vancouver Ottawa game, but 4 and 1 on those other 6 and 60s. I was saying just before the show that I'm not going to take any game in the 6 and 60 next Saturday that involves the Boston Bruins, because the only losses the last 2 weeks in the 6 and 60 segment has been a game involving the Boston Bruins. So we'll nix them from that. But a great weekend altogether. Hung out with one of my friends and watched all that NFL action yesterday. My God, what a way to end it in that game at the end that we talked just before we went to air, where it looked like it was heading to a tie and then both teams get into it. That only ever happens in soccer, where teams pull that kind of stuff off, Andrew. But a great NFL weekend, and we have some fantastic matchups. I know it's a hockey show, but some fantastic matchups. A couple good games last night in NHL, 3 good games tonight from a betting angle, I think. So you saw that promo, pick your team. You start with Andrew and I, and then you just add 1 or 2 other guys. PYT15, pick your team, and started off with the 2 cool guys from Puck Time.
It's definitely a great promo, Carm. And you know what's also a great promo that has been pushed now for another week? That is Net299, the NHL Season Pass plus playoffs. Net299 will get you the rest of the NHL season plus the playoffs, $299. You can use that on both Carmine and myself. You guys used that up quite a bit last week. Those of you guys that didn't get a chance to use this promo code just quite yet, make sure you check it out this week, Net299. You can grab the rest of the NHL season, Carmine and I, over at WagerTalk.com. And yeah, Carm, some crazy games yesterday in the NFL. And the funny thing is, I'm watching on DAZN or DAZN here in Canada. We have that. And I'm on the phone with one of my buddies from back home, and he's watching on cable. And so he's about like 1 play ahead of me. So I'm talking to him on the phone, and every minute, every couple seconds, he's like, "Oh wow, did you see that?" I'm like, "No, dude, I'm like one play behind you." And then I have you and Prez messaging us like, "Wow, this is an amazing game." So like every time they're about to snap the ball, I pretty much would find out what was happening, if they got the first down or what happened beforehand. But I had to start muting my phone and like turning my buddy's volume down when I was on the phone with him, so I didn't have to get the spoiler every time. But that game was unbelievable, and although it had a very, very weird ending to it, and both teams could have tied and all that, very, very entertaining game. And we also had some entertaining hockey games on the weekend as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I know what you're talking about as far as a lot of the soccer that I watch, and even NFL. I'll get some of the games up on my screens from DAZN or DAZN, depends on how you want to pronounce it, and they are 20 seconds or so behind. And if you're in-game betting like you and I do, Andrew, you want it as close to live as possible in order to get those in-game bets, right? And it's funny because I took a call from up here in Canada. We have the two main cable providers are Bell Canada and Rogers, and I switched from Rogers to Bell because of the fact that and Prez has Rogers. It's called Rogers Ignite, and they're literally about 25 seconds because it's over the internet. So it's about 25 seconds behind, and you will actually get a notification there's a goal before you actually see it on. Imagine having an NFL ticket and it's a touchdown, and you're watching it and waiting for this touchdown to happen. It's horrible. I actually changed providers because of that 30 seconds. And when they called me to see if they could have me back as a customer, I said to them, "You're not sports bettors, are you? If you were, you'd understand why 30 seconds is important." So with that said, up to date, muting your phone is probably a good idea, especially if you're talking to me, because I love doing that to Prez. I would let him know there was a goal scored before it was scored, and he just absolutely hated it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot more fun if someone spoils something for you when it's in favor of whatever you're betting. If they spoil something for you and it's not in favor, it just makes you that much more upset about the result. But we have 3 games, like I said, for today: Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals. We have the Seattle Kraken and the Colorado Avalanche. And last but certainly not least, we have a pick'em game with the Rangers and the Kings in the late night game. Our first game up that we are going to talk about, it's the Washington Capitals. It's the Boston Bruins going head to head here. The Boston Bruins, they've won 4 of their last 5 games. Meanwhile, the Washington Capitals have lost 3 straight games in Washington. They are minus 120 at home. The total remains at 5.5, as there is some speculation that might move to 6 overnight. We did not end up seeing that. But this Boston Bruins team playing pretty good hockey right now. That top line is definitely, starting to pick their game up. We're starting to see some depth come to play here from that team. We have Charlie McAvoy. He's listed as questionable for today, Carm. We might see him on the ice for the Bruins, as we know that makes a huge difference. We often talk about home ice advantage and what makes home ice advantage so great. Well, it's obviously the last change, and it's the face-off advantage. Well, the Washington Capitals are the last place team in face-off win percentage. I found that out earlier this morning. That is definitely something you want to consider as far as the home ice advantage, because those face-off advantages definitely come into a factor for me. Except for the Washington Capitals, doesn't really seem to matter with them. They are last in the league. Also, their power play percentage has not been good recently either. The Boston Bruins here at plus 100, I will say they are appealing to me, Carm, because look, the Washington Capitals, they've had their chances. I actually leaned on them against St. Louis the other night. Didn't end up pulling the trigger. But when a team is creating so many chances, like you see these wide open nets and these one-timers that should go in and open, right in the slot, and you don't finish that, I'm not really the kind of guy to say, you know what, they'll start burying those. I'm the kind of guy that says right now they're just not finishing. And when you don't have Oshie, when you don't have Backstrom, right now it's kind of noticeable for me with this Washington Capitals team. So I have a small little lean here on the Boston Bruins. I think the Bruins can get it done tonight. And we're getting plus 100 with the team that's won 4 of the last 5 here, Carm.
Wow. So we're literally 10 minutes into the show on Monday, the first show of the week, and you and I disagree already, Andrew. It doesn't bode well for the rest of the show. But listen, I get it. I know where you're coming from. But watching these games, and if you watch the Washington Capitals, sometimes watching any game where a team has lost 2 or 3 games in a row, there's a game that signals a team looks like they're about to win and get back on track. And that was the Minnesota game against Washington was the better team. They did blow a 2-0 lead in that game. A late, I think it was Zuccarello goal in the last minute or so of that game sent that into OT and eventually a shootout. But Washington played well. And now they return home. It looks like, I'm going to pronounce it the Italian way. It looks like they're going to start. Actually, he is confirmed to start Zach Fucale. So he's in goal, and he played well in that game. So he deserves another shot, and they are giving him another shot. He'll be in goal for them tonight. It looks like it's likely going to be Allmark for the Bruins. The only thing with the Bruins is, yeah, they're winning, but they're in catch-up mode on all the games that they lost due to postponements and stuff and such. They've already played 5 games. This will be their 6th game in 10 days. In this new year. I'm not saying, listen, again, these are great athletes. I'm not saying their tank is empty, but they're going to catch a Washington team hungry for a win, coming off a loss in Minnesota, their 3rd straight loss, but a game that really was, for me, it was a W in the sense of they were the better team in that game. They played well, and it bodes well for them to come home and put one back in the win column. So for me, it is the Washington Capitals tonight at a short price.
So Zachary Fucale, I got the chance to see him play in Halifax, where I'm from. That's where his junior team was. He won the President's Cup and the Memorial Cup with them. Outstanding goalie, Carm. He's played it for around 5 or 6 teams over the last 2 or 3 years. This guy's been traveling around. AHL, NHL, East Coast League. He's been absolutely grinding. And since he's made his first few NHL starts now, they've all been really impressive. He broke a record for the Washington Capitals, for rookie goaltenders. He's playing really well. I guess my question to you, as far as him, can he maintain that? Because he has bailed out the Washington Capitals couple different times, and he is a rookie goaltender, technically, so to speak, even though he has gotten some action before. But I believe they're calling this his rookie season. So, is this something we can trust for him to maintain the success he's had?
I don't know. It's tough to say. His first start was a shutout, but that was against the Detroit Red Wings, and not to slack the Detroit Red Wings, because I like what that program is. How they're moving along and playing. And then, of course, he got some mop-up duty against St. Louis, stopped all 7 shots that he faced there. And again, the game against Minnesota, it was he played well in that game. He played well enough that he should have got the W. They let him down in that last minute. They should have put that game away, and we'd be talking about Zach Fucale unbeaten, albeit only 2 games, one of them a shutout. So, listen, you got to give him another shot, but this is going to be the best team he's faced in the Bruins, and a team that's red hot right now. But there's a reason, and that's the reason why the price is where it is. I just think that this is a good spot for Washington. We'll see if I'm right or not by the end of the evening. But for me, it's Washington in this spot, I think, is the play.
And it's also nice that he gets to play at home. The other 2 games he has played for the Capitals so far were on the road. So either way, Carm, I think you and I can both agree it will be a good game. 2 good teams going head-to-head, the Bruins and the Capitals. Unfortunately, Carmine and I going head-to-head as well. Our next game here, the Seattle Kraken, they're visiting the Pepsi Center in Colorado, taking on the Avalanche. Avalanche minus 420, Carm. Seattle plus 320 on the highway. Total is 6.5 in this game. We're starting to see a lot more 6.5s pop up, but I'm not surprised to see a 6.5 in a game that involves the Colorado Avalanche. The past couple scores here for this Avalanche team: 5-4, 7-1, 4-3, 4-2, 5-2, 4-2. This team is constantly putting up numbers. They're scoring big time. If you're betting on the Colorado Avalanche, I always tell people, if you're a money line bettor that has no problem laying big prices, I would just tell you, hey, just look at the team total for this Avalanche team, because when they win, typically they are scoring 3 goals, very similar to the Vegas Golden Knights and a couple other teams in the league. And you're going to get a way better price. But I'm going to put the ball in your court and ask you first, Carm, how do we approach this game with the amount of chalk we're seeing around the board on the puck line, money line, team total, props? It just seems like chalk, chalk, chalk everywhere I look here for an option in this game.
Yeah, this is, excuse me, this is the problem with these games, Andrew. We had one earlier this year. I can't remember that. You could jump in if you remember who it was, but they were at minus 600, I think, at one point, or minus 700 at one point in the line. It might have been either Carolina or Florida playing someone who had COVID issues. I think it was Carolina against the Montreal Canadiens. It could have been.
I think Carolina against Montreal got to minus 600. And they were losing at one point.
Yeah, and they were losing. So you're never going to get me on a game where it's minus 400. You won't get me on a game that's minus 200 or higher in that sense, unless I wrap it with another game that I can parlay it with to bring it down to something close to even money or something that is plus money. But there's nothing. There's only 3 games on the card tonight. Maybe look at it a different way, Andrew. You talked about the team total. The problem here is the only plus money price on the Colorado team total is 4.5. You take the over and you're getting plus 105, plus 110. Even that I don't want to take, because they've got you need 5 goals to win it, and I get it. It's the Avalanche; they're scoring goals. This is the return likely of Grubauer back to Colorado. He faced them in mop-up duty in that 7-3 loss at home, where they put 4 by Chris Dreider in that game. He came in, he stopped 14 to 17 shots. He'll likely be on the ice. They'll probably do one of those things like the Leafs did for Zach Hyman, one of those tribute videos for Grubauer in Colorado. Who knows? We'd likely see that. But he hasn't been good on the road. He's 1-7 on the road as a starter, 6-6 at home. And you're going to Colorado. I get it. It's where you played, but I just don't see how you can take Seattle even getting the plus goals in this game. Maybe the score prop, Andrew. If you think Colorado's going to score, you take both McInnis and Landeskog. They're both plus 110 to score. Obviously, one of the 2 scores, at worst, you break even, but both of them will probably find the score sheet tonight. And then if you look at alternate lines, the minus 1.5 is, I think, at minus 160, 170. You can't play that. If you think Colorado wins by multiple goals, you can take the minus 2.5, and that's plus 110. So that's an option you can take if they win by 3 goals. Again, we're stretching it, Andrew. We're looking for a play in a game where you're probably best off passing.
It's funny when you look at this game and you dive in, Carm, the all-star defenseman, who I think could be like my generation's Bobby Orr here with Cale Makar. He's that good, and I've heard other people say that as well. He's got almost as many goals on the year as a defenseman as some of the top guys do as forwards on the Seattle Kraken. A defenseman on Colorado would almost be the leading scorer on the Seattle Kraken on the year. That just goes to show how talented the Colorado Avalanche really are. And the thing is, I really feel like their depth was on full display against the Toronto Maple Leafs the other night. I do worry about their defense, though, because like I've said countless times on this show, the Colorado speed sometimes backfires on them and it hurts them defensively. But they're so talented, they can make up for it and come back from being down 3-1 like it's absolutely nobody's business. And it's just not surprising anymore for them to put up 4, 5, 6 goals in a game. It almost seems like it's a habit. It seems like it's almost something normal right now. But you mentioned Landeskog, you mentioned McInnis. McInnis is now on a 13-game point streak. Depending on where you shop, you can get over 1.5 points for some of these players. I would look at that for Nathan McInnis. You can get a good price on that. That way, if they are not scoring a goal, you can still get them to get an assist, secondary assist, and so on and so forth. And you'll still be rewarded with a win, despite him not scoring a goal. But Looking at a guy like Nazem Kadri down the lineup, you can always get a good price on him as well. Logan O'Connor. I think this could be one of those games, Carm, where you do look towards the bargain bin a little bit as well for the Avalanche. Try and look for some of those other prices. As much as I do agree with the McKinnon and Landeskog, there's a good chance I'll be on one or two of those guys. But I think it could also be a good bargain bin type game. Taking a look at Seattle's last couple of games here, lose to Anaheim 4-1, lose to Edmonton 5-3, close game against Philly, and then they allow 6 against Calgary and 5 against the Vancouver Canucks. This is one of those scenarios to me where we have to ask ourselves, do we just not overthink it? Because that's really what I've been telling myself. Do you just not think twice about this? We're talking about a team in the Kraken that I think that was a little bit overrated. Everyone thought they were going to be the second coming of the Vegas Golden Knights when the season started. That's clearly not the case. There's already been rumors about trades and stuff they're going to do at the deadline here. This price at minus 400, I think, is appropriate. They've allowed 11 goals their last 2 games here, playing one of the number 1 teams in the league as far as goals for per game. The Stanley Cup favorites right now at most betting books. This price is appropriate here, Carm, and
Yeah.
I guess we have to ask ourselves is, are they going to absolutely punish them or not?
Yeah, you would think they're gonna punish them. This is why the number is where it is. But I completely agree with you on, coming into the season. I think some people out there thought the Kraken would be a lot better than they are, or that they turned out to be. But they were never going to be the Vegas Golden Knights 2.0. That draft. That expansion draft by the Vegas Golden Knights was an absolutely epic one. They caught a lot of teams off guard with what they did, and teams were prepared this time around in protecting players, in making deals with the Seattle Kraken to not pick up players who were left unprotected. So there a lot went on, and this is why they are where they are. They came into this season with a projected points total, and I bet the under on this, and I gave out to my clients, 90.5 points was their expected total. And I just said to myself, there's no way they get close to 90.5 points. And they're at 24 right now, 30 some odd games into the season. They're going to have to go on an epic run for it to get over that 90, much like we discussed the Montreal Canadiens and the under 88.5 that I took, that the Canadiens would have to go on an epic run to get over that. So, Andrew, you're bang on the fact that I think they're not as good as a lot of people expected them to be. They're probably a little overrated, and this is a game that Colorado is supposed to win. It's the only way I could see it is if somehow Grubauer stands on his head and the Kraken played their best game of the season to try and get him the win. Kind of like Marc-Andre Fleury in
awesome.
returning to Vegas this past weekend. Who would have thought Chicago, after maybe the sandwich game, laying an absolute egg I think it was in Arizona, if I'm correct, and then going to Vegas and winning that game 2-1. So I guess we'll find out tonight. But I think Colorado, it's the play. Don't overthink it.
I can tell you what, Carm, there was absolutely zero sports book or betting website that was getting my money on the Vegas Golden Knights that night. There wasn't, because I'm not a huge fan of the emotional factor, but with Marc-Andre Fleury coming back, just like how he came back to Pittsburgh after he left there, it was a magical night. And I sound kind of funny using that word, but it really was. I mean, you saw people cheering him on, wearing his jerseys, having signs about him. And he's not even on their team anymore. And the respect level was just unbelievable for them. One play I wanted to mention here before we jump into our last game of the night, we're starting to see some 2s pop up for these first period overs, guys. And I've talked about them a lot more than I have in years past, these first period overs. But it's interesting because there's one of 2 ways you can approach this. You can take that over 2 because you're getting a plus price. And I think at worst case scenario tonight, you will get a push in that because I feel like the best period we will see from the Kraken will be in the first opening frame. But the same thing I've kind of recommended, and we discussed this with Brian last Thursday on the show, which I thought was a great segment we had, Carm, was the live betting aspect. If you wait 3 or 4 minutes into this first period, guys, you will turn this over 1.5 in the first period total from a total of minus, 160, 170, all the way, shoot that down to minus 140. If you wait even longer, minus 135, you can get a better price on that. There's also been some great prices that countless betting websites are offering now, both teams to score in the first period. You can all of a sudden turn that into a plus 120 and get rid of these minus 150s on these first period totals. And quite often you do see it, a first period over. If it hits, you do see a 1-1 tie after the first frame. So just something I wanted to mention to people. People always think about game betting, live betting for an entire game. How about live betting a period? It might sound foolish to some of you guys out there, but there's some great profit to be made out there. And to me, it's all about getting the right price. Carm, you always talk about prices you aren't comfortable laying. How do you feel about my strategy here with waiting a few minutes on these first period totals and trying to get the best price that I like?
No, I like it because invariably, when you do a lot of in-game betting, you get used to watching the numbers and how they react as that clock sort of whittles down. And the first 2-3 minutes, it's like you said, we normally don't see a goal scored in the first 2-3 minutes of the game unless it's some kind of a miscue or an early penalty that leads to a power play. So when a number is juiced to the under, you can get a better number if you can just wait a couple minutes. And sometimes that half goal is a big difference between a cashing a bet and pushing a bet. Let's say the sixes become 5.5s. So I completely get it, Andrew. This is why in-game betting is a way to make a lot of money, because sometimes these lines are tight. The only way for them for you to beat a line that it's completely tight is to wait a couple minutes. If you're certain what you're going to take, wait a couple minutes into the game, 2, 3, 4 minutes. Watch that vig go down. Any vig you save, it makes you money long term on your wagers, because it's the difference between having to hit 54% to turn a profit every year and hitting 53% to turn a profit. So that said, make sure you have a good book that's not taking its lines down, have good in-game wagering, and have more than one out, so you can have 2-3 games on the screen. I think that's really important. And the fact that you went into that huge spiel about in-game betting gave me enough time to get those 2 props in. So I am now on Landeskog and McInnis, both to score anytime at plus 110 each, Andrew.
I love it. I hope you catch both of them, but I think at the very worst, you'll come out with slight profit. And I think the worst case scenario is a 1-1, Carm. This is going to be a bloodbath for the Seattle Kraken, hopefully anyway. So best of luck with those wagers. I'll definitely be involved in the prop market in that game myself. Let's get into our last game of the night. We have the New York Rangers, the LA Kings going head-to-head. And this Rangers team, they were on a pretty good run. They won a few in a row against some tough teams, 2 straight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But then they dropped that game 5-1 against the Vegas Golden Knights. This game is a pick'em. Total's 5.5. New York bounced back in a solid effort against Anaheim. They won that 4-1. LA is off a game where they just absolutely dominated the Detroit Red Wings. And when I say dominated, I mean dominated. They only allowed the Red Wings to have 2 shots in the first period. And you and I were talking about that just the other day. So what are your thoughts here? It's a pick'em price in this game. LA is at home. Crypto.com arena, newly named arena here. Just getting used to saying that. I think it should be a good game.
Crypto.com. Yeah, you got to love it. I'm not going to talk about crypto stocks, but I've got some of them. I usually follow the advice of the Prez. He's pretty good with his crypto stuff. I watched that game. I couldn't believe it was the graphic on the screen showed 27-1, but I checked later and it was 27-2 shots on goal. And it was only 2-0 at the end of the first period. It really felt like it should have been a lot worse than that. The Kings are playing well, but the Rangers are playing extremely well. But Shesterkin is still, as of this morning, was still on the COVID protocol list, which means that it's likely going to be Georgiev in net tonight unless they have another backup who they put in. And this is the thing is you look at that last game for the Rangers, it was pretty much a training game for them. Anaheim did nothing in that game. 14 shots on goal in the game for Anaheim against Georgiev. A 4-1 win for the Rangers. Pretty much an easy game for him. But the Kings are getting pucks to the net. Their last 4 games on this 5-game homestand that they've played, and they've got 1 game left. I think Pittsburgh comes to town next before the Kings hit the road. They've averaged over 40 shots on goal in those games. They're going to get pucks at the net. 42 last game, 48 the game before that, 34 and 35 the 2 previous to that. And then I think in the loss to the Vegas Golden Knights, they had, I think it was 27 or 28 shots on goal in that one, but they're averaging 40 shots per game the last 4. They're going to get pucks at the net, so we'll see if that translates into goals. It doesn't always translate because there's teams like the Vegas Golden Knights who regularly put 40 plus shots on goal on their opponents. But the line is where it is because this game is literally a coin flip, Andrew. I get it, and some people might not agree with me and think that it's the Rangers, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Kings at home in this one. They've won 3 of the last 4 at home. They're playing well, and it's just if it was Shesterkin in net, I'd be on the Rangers. This is clearly just a goaltending decision for me. I think Georgiev is 2-2 thus far on the road as a starter. So that's where I'm leaning in this one.
Yeah, Carm, I'm looking at the Kings in this game, and it's a tough one to pick because you kind of mentioned it. Georgiev, he has one solid performance, and then the next game he puts up a dud. This guy is the definition of inconsistent for his team. Good news is, though, Panarin might be back here tonight for the New York Rangers, also known as Breadman, as I've found out from the New York Rangers fan base, which I think is kind of a funny nickname. He might be back for them, which is a huge difference. But we have also seen kind of some weird stuff go on when star players come back to their teams for their first game back, jumping right into that lineup. But with New York, I don't really see it being a problem. There's kind of 2 things I look for here in this game, though. Number one, does LA enter this game with confidence because of that big win, or do they enter this game with maybe too much confidence after just dominating a team like that 4-0? I'll tell you, I think that they enter it with confidence defensively. I understand we're saying we might not trust Georgiev that much, but having said that, I actually lean towards the under in this game. I think that New York has to be happy about their defensive performance against Anaheim. LA coming off a good defensive performance, and we know what happened in New York when they played Vegas. It was not a good performance out of them. They got dominated shots-wise, and you've talked about it with Vegas, how many shots they get per game. So I understand it's a 5.5 total. We have 2 teams that can score, but I think I like the under here more than any side. So how about a Kings victory for you, Carm, and an under for me? How's that sound?
That works for me, Andrew. I'm going to throw a completely meaningless stat unless you're a guy who subscribes to the zigzag theory. We talked about it with the Chicago, 13 straight games where they zigged and zagged. The Rangers have zigzagged their last 7 road games, trading wins and losses. They won their last game. So if you're a fan of the zigzag, tonight's a zag and loss to the LA Kings. If you subscribe to that theory. So don't make that a handicapping tool, but just keep that in the back of your mind when you're watching the game tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely not an auto bet situation, but it's something that's worth keeping in mind. That's what I always say with the zigzag stuff. It's not something you want to bet just because, but it's something that might be able to help you that much more with the decision. If you already like the Kings, maybe that helps you out that much more tonight in this game. But I do have a slight lean on the other end. So Carmine and I are a little bit of disagreement today on the show, but I do mostly like the total more on the under 5.5. And I don't love taking these under 5.5, but we had Dr. Chuck on the show prior to the Christmas break, and he did say, look, these 5.5s, they can be sneaky and you can find some good opportunities on them. I feel like the players are starting to finally settle in after they had that 1 week off. Hopefully we see some defense tonight in this game, under 5.5 for me. Once again, a reminder, guys, that promo code net299 gets you the entire NHL season. You can use that on any NHL handicapper at WagerTalk.com. That's net299. Makes the entire NHL season plus the playoffs all the way up until the very last game, $299. The best deal we have running right now for the full season of NHL action. Carm had a great weekend. I'm rolling as well. And speaking of rolling, let's jump into best bets. Carm, any promo stuff you have for us, and then best bet as well?
Plays are being loaded as we speak. NFL playoff package is already up on $9 Mondays at WagerTalk. So that's going to stay up until midnight tonight, and then it'll revert back to its regular price. And one play up in the NHL tonight, a spot play, and just trying to keep the NHL run good going, because I'm coming after you, Andrew, and I'm looking forward to a good second half of the season. A lot of you took advantage of that net $2.99. There's still some time to take advantage of it. As far as the show promo, I am going to go back to that Colorado game, and I'm going to take the first period in this one, because in a game where a team is minus 425, I can't touch that team, but you can get them at minus 110 right now to win the first period. So I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche minus a half a goal in the first period. Hopefully it is Grubauer in net for Seattle tonight. He hasn't fared well on the road. Maybe they give him the little tribute, get some tears in his eyes, and maybe that emotion makes him a little shaky between the pipes, at least for the first 20 minutes. So give me Colorado minus half a goal, minus 110 first period.
Colorado first period puck line at minus 110. I still find that hard to believe that they're minus 400 in the game. And a great job by you to find these great prices here. First period puck line at just minus 110 odds here for the Colorado Avalanche tonight as they take on the Seattle Kraken at home here. Guys, for me, before I jump into my best bet, look, it's been a great season. Really big turnaround. I mentioned how bad the October was for me. Happy to have turned it around for the clients and finally reached that point. I'm at number one at WagerTalk in the NHL. It's been a rat race, all of us competing, but a friendly competition, of course. I just want everybody to do well at WagerTalk.com. 73% winners in the NHL since the middle of November, and currently rocking an 11-1 run as well. So you can grab a day pass, you can grab a 30-day pass, or use that net $299 for the entire NHL season, $299. My best bet we'll go with the Boston Bruins on the money line. I feel like it's a good spot for them. They're playing good hockey right now. I'm not so sure I trust the Washington Capitals in this spot. I'm going to ride with the hot team, ride with the team playing well, and seeing the puck go in the net quite often. Give me the Boston Bruins on the money line here, plus 100. Great price, great value on that play, in my opinion. And Carmine Bianco, he is on the Colorado Avalanche, the first period puck line, minus a half goal at minus 110 against the Seattle Kraken. On behalf of Carmine Bianco, I am Andrew McInnis. We're both found at WagerTalk.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have you ever wanted to create your own handicapping dream team? You can now build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Even more exciting, until Sunday, January 16th at midnight, you can save 15% off your Pick Your Team using coupon code PYT15 when checking out. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, and Ralph Michaels, John Ryan, Joseph D'Amico, and Rocketman. The combinations are endless, and you can choose up to 5 handicappers. You start saving once you choose any 2 handicappers of your choice, and you can pay as little as under $6 per handicapper. Who will make your dream lineup? Just go to WagerTalk or Sports Memo, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand select your handicapping roster. Don't forget coupon code PYT15 will expire January 16th, so make sure to get your 15% discount.